Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome back. It is Friday, October 26th, 2018. Here we are, back to another show. I missed everybody last Sunday, but we put up a couple of shows. I put up a video experimenting with the spirit box. And I also had an interview from Disclosure Con with Dylan Lewis Monroe. And that was a good video. That was a good interview. That was the time that I unplugged the power and cut off Mike Barra's lecture in the main hall. So that was exciting. I want to give a quick shout out. I got something today. My partner got me this. It's Cheryl and Linda Costa's UFO sightings desk reference. And this thing is pure data. There is no goofing around, no Adamski photos, no BS in there. It is pure raw data. But I'll tell you what, so helpful for ufology. And I contacted Cheryl, and she's going to send me an insert for it, and she's going to sign it for me. So that'll be super cool. Thank you, Cheryl Costa. If you're into ufology, I recommend that you get that. And I'm going to send a copy to William Pullen from Facebook, from UFO Real, the group on Facebook. I want to give a couple of quick program notes. There may be some changes here. We're talking about dropping the Sunday show. We looked at the statistics, and Sunday was kind of wonky for us. And so we're looking for maybe a Friday, Saturday schedule. And then we'll drop a pre-recorded interview during the week. And we might see how that schedule plays out. And we may play with the length of the show, but I don't want to say anything definitive until we've reached consensus amongst the production staff on that. But it's something we're thinking about. So just be aware of that, and that'll happen in November. I have an extraordinary guest tonight, and I do not use the word extraordinary lightly. I've had some fantastic guests. I love everybody that's been on, but Sharron Rose, who's going to be on tonight, she's exceptional. She has a long list of credits, and I'm just going to go over just the basic ones, and then we'll get into it, because her knowledge of the field of chi energy is she's at a master level of knowledge on that. Her name is Sharron Rose. She's the producer of The Last Avatar. She's a writer, director, and host of The Odyssey and Time Wave, which were some documentaries. She's the author of the award-winning book, The Path of the Priestess, which sounds absolutely intriguing to me, and I want to check that out. And she's a producer, director, and she's the president of Sacred Mysteries Productions. And she's also doing a crowdfunder for her documentary series, Quantum Chi, The Taoist Art of Nurturing Life. Remember that. It's Quantum Chi, The Taoist Art of Nurturing Life. She's doing a crowdfunding for that, and I'll let her explain the details of that. Sharron Rose, welcome to the show. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be with you all and bring this knowledge of life force energy known as chi to you.
Thank you so much. It's pretty amazing. Can you tell us, since I started off talking about your crowdfunding, can you explain to folks what the point of the series is going to be? And then maybe we'll get into a discussion about chi energy itself and dig a little deeper.
The series, Quantum Chi, was created to really assist all of us in these very divisive and challenging times. I have interviewed over 20 masters of Qigong, Tai Chi, and Wushu martial arts, acupuncturists, traditional Chinese medicine practitioners who have shown a way, an ancient Taoist system of healing and self-empowerment that is profound. And I started by thinking I'm going to do a little documentary, but got so deep into it, these people honestly, I've been with masters of many traditions over the course of my life. And when I countered these people, I have never been with such healthy, happy, embodied, spiritually rich, giving, loving, and really one of them, Master Li Junfeng, he was a martial arts film star and then directed the Beijing martial arts team, and he discovered and trained Jet Li. The man is 80 years old. He moves and looks like he's maybe about 40. And so these people were so inspiring. I come from the worlds of dance all over the world, India a lot, and healing and film and all of that. And when I encountered this tradition, after studying many forms of healing, I found that it really brings this, as I said, self-empowerment and knowledge of self-healing and knowledge of not only your physical, but your emotional body, your mental body, and how to integrate and work with all of that so that you can really heal yourself. There's lots of scientific evidence from China and from the US now that these teachings, these practices are able to assist people that have these chronic conditions that, you know, the Western medical establishment has just said, you're done. So it's been amazing. And the series became a series because there's so much in-depth material. And not only, so it's designed to be each episode half hour, but then followed by another half hour of exercises so that you can bring it into your body and into your life. And really, it holds such amazing keys to vitality, longevity, you know, just wonderful. So that's what inspired me. Now the crowdfunder came. I've been working on this for 2.5 years now, part-time, because I was so inspired by this and its ability to help people that I worked other jobs. One was acquisitions at Gaia to pay my editor. And now I'm at the point where, and it's very high quality. We use, fortunately, as an indie filmmaker, now we have tools such as aerial drones, which are inexpensive relatively. And so every shot is in nature. And so part of it is like, a friend said, it was like being bathed in nature, watching, you know, listening to these masters from all over the world, many different, you know, from India, from a lot from China, and, you know, just a very balanced male, female, and very interesting group of people. Beautiful. So I got so excited. I got so deep into it. I thought, okay, it needs to be this series. And I've been building Facebook page and group now since May. We have about over 5,000 members from all over the world, which is a really cool group because people of all ages are posting their practice, about their practices and how this has helped them, and, you know, in illness and other things. So that's been wonderful. So I decide I've gotten to where I really need help financially to continue this. And so I decided, like many indie filmmakers, to do a crowdfunder.
Wow, that's amazing. That's an amazing journey. Obviously, not only have you been a student of this yourself, but are you a teacher? Are you a master yourself? Or are you more into the production side of kind of bringing this message to the masses?
Well, I've been a teacher of esoteric, you know, dance, meditation, etc. for many, many years. And so people are now asking me, because I've been so absorbed in it, because I practice myself, more and more they're asking me also to teach. The project itself takes a lot of my time, but I do practice. And now we're going to start doing some screenings of the first episode. And when I do that, I'm always teaching too, because it's something you have to experience. It's not just, you know, it's beautiful to look at and it's really deep information, but to feel that chi, that life force energy that's in all of us and all of nature in yourself, and feel the flow, and feel, yourself bringing it into scanning like your organs and your systems, and understanding how to work with the energy, and bring it into your life in a much more powerful, empowering way. It's great.
Is there a correlation or a bridge, perhaps? I'm getting feedback. I don't know from where. Sorry about that. Is there a correlation or a bridge between chi energy and the use and manipulation of this energy and the Kundalini energy of Kundalini yoga and the chakras and that system of yogic work, I suppose?
Well,
Do those two things link up, or are those two different ideas?
Well, it's interesting because a number of the teachers talk about the correlations, and me having lived in India with one of the great Bollywood dancers and tantrikas, Sitara Devi, so I'm very steeped in the Hindu tradition. There's a lot of correlations. So they would call chi prana, life force energy, right? And of course, it would connect with that. The Kundalini is just another example of chi energy. So, and then the chakras, the difference is that I found this very interesting. In the Qigong Taoist tradition, instead of 7, there's 3, the Trinity. And for people that have never experienced, the Hindu tradition or anything, I find it's very simple in that way. There's only 3. So they're called the dantians, or the fields of elixir. And so there's a one that's kind of 5 inches below your belly, like around where the second chakra would be. And that's the main, they call that the dantian. And that one is your grounding, your sense of grounding and embodiment. And then, of course, there's the heart. That's the middle dantian. And we know that the heart resonance, is very powerful. And then there's, of course, the upper dantian, which is the third eye, the eye of wisdom, the Dakini eye, the eye of gnosis, the eye that sees in dreams and visions. So we're dealing with those 3 main power centers in your body.
So as you get into these different practices, what is the difference between Qigong and something like Tai Chi? And I know that's kind of a rudimentary question, but I want to ask that for the audience, people who might really be wondering, what are the subtle differences?
Well, it's interesting you should ask that, because right now we're working on episode 2, which is all about that. It's about how Qigong really, and Qi, are the foundation of all the martial arts. So Qigong is, from my perspective, it's what you learn first to heal yourself and to get this very strong, rooted, grounded foundation, understanding your energy fields and how those fields, interact with the physical, and how to cleanse them and heal them and purify them and strengthen them. Then Tai Chi is, well, and also Qigong, the movements are very graceful and slow. It's in all of them. It's called precepts of stillness and movement and stillness. And it's not just the flow, which is another concept, but it's the stillness of the thoughts too. It's a meditative practice. So then when you get to Tai Chi, you are starting to encounter the other. So you're now, your own field, right? And now you're encountering the other. And a lot of Tai Chi, it's also slow movements, more stylized. And then when you get, although it's also used for, well, actually all 3 martial arts also are used for healing, because they're all about Qi, and Qi is the healing power. So when you get to the martial arts, now you're still encountering the other, but it's from a very, martial, physical, directing Qi standpoint. So they're all incredibly related. Once we kind of describe them in episode 2, then we go into what I think is really important for all of us these days. It's called protective Qi. And protective Qi has to do with, how to first of all, have this chi field, very strong chi field around you, but how to live in daily life and not be buffeted by the winds of politics, divisiveness, people threatening you, people, abusing you, people. It's just incredible teaching on how to really find your center and stay in that center and not be, if somebody's saying that, it's kind of a sense of detachment where, you're seeing the other who is coming at you. You're seeing their issues that aren't yours because you're centered and you're grounded. And so in that way, you gain a sense, because you asked before, of compassion.
Correct.
True
Yes.
compassion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just for the viewers, I want to fill you in. We were kind of waiting to go on air, and we were discussing these types of practices and this type of energy use, and how people can use this to center themselves. And I'm specifically referring to all the societal upheavals, what we're seeing in the news, especially over the last 3 or 4 days. It's very upsetting for a lot of people. Threats of violence and violent acts really disrupt our society. And I don't do politics on this show. People who watch know that I do not do politics on this show. And, I largely want this to be kind of an escape from that, not an escape like in a negative way, but this show is a way to think about something else besides all that stuff in the news. But that being said, people are looking for some peace of mind. People are looking for centeredness, and they may not even use those words within their own self to identify it that way. We have a culture where, everyone's working very hard, and they go to work and they come home at the end of the day and they kick their feet up in front of the television and they just kind of tune out. And that's their way of just kind of decompressing, I guess, from the pressures of society. And I find these types of practices interesting because it brings you into your body, but also brings you into your mind and your spirit simultaneously, and puts you in the now, puts you rooted in the now. And I think, and for people who are doing these types of practices, they don't have to watch TV or play video games necessarily, or use all these other societal distractions. And I don't know, how do you feel like that plays out? How does this integrate into folks' day-to-day lives, that everyday tapestry of one's life?
Well, it certainly brings a sense of peace within, and of harmony, and of balance particularly of your emotions. A lot of what's being projected on us is fear. It's like the powers that be in the media, etc., want to keep us continuously in stress and anxiety. And these practices, of course, which involve breathing and meditation, but moving, which is so beautiful, really assist one in coming to that place of serenity. And what I noticed in myself, because it's been 2.5 years, is that less and less am I even interested. I mean, I'm aware, believe me, I'm very aware of what's going on. But it all, maybe because also I'm a filmmaker, it seems like such a theater, theater designed to disturb you. And the reason I'm doing all this work is, we have these amazing tools, video and film and, these cameras and,
Right.
and why not use them to counter this, to use them in a way to help people to remember the beauty of who they really are deep inside, to kind of peel away all the layers of anger and fear and etc. And there's amazing inner alchemy, it's called, practices that really assist you in working with your, particularly your emotional body, so that instead of being buffeted by these tornadoes of, fear and stuff, you're going to just become calm. And in that way, you become a model for everyone around you. And, understand deeply, because you've developed clear compassion for yourself first, right?
Right.
And then from that knowing, that inner knowing, you're able to really, bring healing, really healing to others.
That's amazing. It's an inspiring concept. I've done a limited amount of Tai Chi in the past, very limited, and I wouldn't profess to have any real knowledge of it, but I know that I enjoyed it. It's something I'd probably like to pick up again as well. Wow, so much of what you're talking about just weighs. We're talking about relieving stress and tuning out from all this stuff. And I guess what I personally struggle with, and kind of what I want to present to the audience, is maybe they struggle with this as well. I want to be a responsible citizen. And just like what you're saying, you're a filmmaker. And so you have an awareness of the media and what's going on. And we all do, because you really can't escape it. You'd have to try real hard to escape some kind of media exposure these days. And oh, I don't know. I kind of lost my point. I lost it. I lost my point. But it's just about how I'm concerned about what I see. And I want to be a responsible citizen. I want to be a participant. But at the same time, I don't want to get sucked up into the drama of all this. And I think that's what this is everything we're seeing on the world stage or in the public eye right now. It's high drama. Just
Yes.
either which way you look at it, it's over the top. And do you
And it's
think,
interesting. Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's interesting how it's like a constant shifting drama. One day it's the caravan, the next day it's the pipe bomber, it's like keeping your energy field and your nervous system in a constant state of anxiety.
Right.
Right.
I know. I remembered my point. Oh, I'm listening, but I remembered my point. How can someone who is using this energy and doing these practices, how can you help interface with a world where rudeness and meanness are kind of rearing their heads more frequently these days?
What it does, this practice, it brings you to such a centered place. And it's not just centered, it's that you have confidence. It helps you build confidence in your own inner awareness and your own inner knowing and your own perception. And from that place, somehow, and also you're able to build this chi field around yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
from that place, there, as I said before, it's kind of like a sense of detachment, but it's deeper than that. And then you, as I said, you develop this sense of seeing the beauty in everyone and just wanting to assist them in discovering that in themselves. And yes, I have to say that that in many ways, the deeper I go into it, the more painful in many ways I see what I feel about what I'm seeing out there.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, just seeing it, especially with young people, well, with everybody, but seeing the level of suffering and how we have these very like almost concretized what we would call pain bodies,
Right.
So it just inspires me to do what I can to let those, just like with your thoughts, how your thoughts will, like, you'll start thinking about something negative or you're afraid of it, and then it'll just build and build and build, and like all of a sudden you're in having like palpitations and all that kind of stuff. It's like these practices help you understand that they are not you. They're just these thoughts, and many of these thoughts have just been imprinted on you by the media that wants to keep you in fear. So you begin to see that, and then you begin to see that all of these things that are coming at you, you, right, to protect yourself from them.
Absolutely. This reminds me, I had my first interview for this show, and was with Richard Dolan. I don't know how much you know about ufology or how much your world crosses over into UFOs.
I know. Yes.
Okay. I didn't know. I don't want to make any assumptions whatsoever. But Richard was talking about during the interview that for people to become awakened or to be more aware of what's going on, you have to be willing to undergo some level of at least personal sacrifice or pain. Because I think, and I'm not pointing the finger at other people, I'm talking about myself as well. I can find myself being addicted to my smartphone or to that media input. And especially really since I started doing this show, because I'm trying to be more aware of what's going on so that I can have a relevant conversation with my guests. So I've had to really not, instead of turning it off, I've exposed myself to a lot more of this, but I find myself just having to turn it all off. Can you talk about sacrifice within this practice? Is that part of this practice, or is asceticism in any way a part of this practice? Is there any fasting or other practices?
No,
nothing like
this
that.
This practice
involved.
Is completely connected with nature.
Okay.
And so if you ask, as John Milton, who's one of the masters in the film, dear friend, he has a place here in Crestone called the Way of Nature. And he brings people back into nature, not only outer nature, but their inner nature and their true nature. He says, who spent many years, in China with the Taoists, he says, if you ask a Taoist master, what is the purpose of life? They'll say, of course, it's to enjoy it. And that's what these teachings bring, Qigong. It brings a sense of like a childlike sense of joy returns. And so once you start feeling that, I'm just talking about my own experience, the contrast between the joy and the connectedness and then the suffering and the anxiety becomes so strong, it becomes almost addicting in a certain sense, that you really begin to choose the joy, even though we've become, kind of addicted in a certain sense to the suffering, right? We're like, oh, what's going to happen next?
Right.
But
it's true.
You learn to sit back. Yeah.
It gets a little bit Pavlovian, but we, that cortisol response, getting those, it's addictive. And that, I kind of, I try not to be preachy on this show. This show's, kind of goofy and kind of serious, and it's a little bit of both. And, but I'm always trying to push everyone towards turning this stuff off and tuning out and getting back in touch with yourself.
Well, another point I want to make is that it's almost like we're all in a PTSD. And there's been, Qigong has been used in Veterans Administration and many places to assist people in overcoming PTSD. So, of course, then it would be good for everyone because we're all kind of experiencing what you would call PTSD.
Right. Well, believe it or not, a half hour has passed, and this has been an inspiring and amazing conversation. I'm so glad that you were here, and I think the message that you have and the work that you're doing is so important. And I want to mention again, it's the crowdfunder for Quantum Qi, the Taoist art of nurturing life. I'll say it again, Quantum Qi, the Taoist art of nurturing life. Sharron, what's the name of your Facebook page and how can people find your work online?
Okay, it's facebook.com/quantumqi. So QUANTUMQI. And also there's quantumqimovie.com. So if you go to either one of those, you can find out about the crowdfunder. We've got some really, it's all tax deductible. We got some great rewards, some feather earrings, and the episodes and t-shirts and teachings with the great masters are available. So I encourage you, please help us.
Yes. And you have some stuff on YouTube as well. That's beautiful cinematography, what I've seen.
Thank you.
The photography is outstanding, and I give you props. And I want to tell the viewers, check it out. If you go look at the videos and you see some of the production behind this, highest production values that you're going to find out there in this type of work. Sharron Rose, thank you so much, and please feel welcome to come on to the show anytime. You're welcome back to.
I'd love to.
All right, thank you so much, and I'm sorry about the time mix-up. I'd like to thank you, the viewer, for watching. I know there's a lot of competition out there for your attention. I want to give a shout out to C.W. Chanter. I want to tell everyone that I'm going to be interviewing him soon, and we're going to pop that interview out there. We're trying to get in on this secret space program trademark stuff, which, as you probably already know by viewing at this time, that they dropped the case and they're not going to try to trademark that, which was kind of nutty in the first place. Yeah. Corey Good was trying to trademark the phrase secret space program so no one else could use it. And it blew up into this big social media thing. And I called in Jimmy Church last week, and I think I might have made Jimmy Church mad at me, but I like Jimmy Church. So thank you for watching, everyone. Sharron, thank you for being here. Pursuing X, thank you so much. Michael, Lisa, Christy, thank you so much. I'll see you all later. Be safe and catch me tomorrow right here. Bye.